Today on This Week in Racing, first up we talk about the Jimmie Johnson Fernando Alonso seat swap, then about how Jimmie Johnson could be going to the Rolex 24. After that, next up, Fernando Alonso to Wayne Taylor Racing. After that, we talk about Alonso being a GM factory driver. Some big news we have is Jimmie Johnson might be going to IndyCar in 2021. And finally, Casey Kane offers to go sprint car racing with Johnson and Chase Elliott. This Week in Racing starts now. Guys, Matt's back. Welcome to This Week in Racing. I'm Matty Rocks, and we're back here on Matty Rocks Racing. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today, but let's get right into it with the seat swap, with the Fernando Alonso, Jimmie Johnson seat swap. So first up we have the seat swap, and it took place at the Bahrain International Circuit, which is because some of Bahrain's higher-ups own a share in the McLaren team. Now let's talk about the cars. So Jimmie Johnson was in a 2013 McLaren Formula One car with a V8 Mercedes engine, and this was because that ever since the start of the turbo hybrid era, in 2014, Formula One has been very restrictive about testing, and even for fun tests like this, in Formula One's eyes, this could have an unfair advantage for McLaren and the other teams, and I don't know why this is. Also, Fernando was fitted with Jimmie Johnson's 2018 number 48 Chevrolet Camaro with a 5.8-liter V8 engine. But now to the lap times. Fernando Alonso in the F1 car set a 1 minute 40.2. Jimmie Johnson's lap was only 10/10 off of that time. Jimmie in his NASCAR set a 2 minute 14-second lap, but keep in mind he's never been on that Bahrain circuit. Fernando Alonso went 4 seconds faster than Jimmie, with a 2 minute 10. I think this inspired Fernando to head to stock car racing, and maybe we can see him soon in a stock car. Now let's talk about Jimmie Johnson going to the Rolex 24. Jimmie was very impressed with Fernando's lap that he wants to do the Rolex 24 with Fernando. This would be the first time since 2008 that he would race in that event, and that was when he drove for Bob Stallings Racing. I would love to see Jimmie in a sports car because I feel like he would do very good in the Rolex 24 with or without Fernando. Alright, we've got 2 more stories. If you don't know already, I'm Matty Rocks, and let's get right into our next 2 stories. Another piece of news from the Rolex 24 camp: Fernando Alonso will be in the event for the second time in his career, and what's significant in this announcement is that he will be joining Wayne Taylor Racing, along with Kamui Kobayashi, his Toyota racing teammate from Toyota's LMP1 program, as well as Jordan Taylor and Renger van der Zande, Wayne Taylor Racing's regular drivers, to make up the 4-driver team. And he will be driving best car, Cadillac. And Cadillac is the best because they've won the last 2 at Daytona, and it says a lot to Toyota for letting these drivers out of their program. But I think Toyota is losing control of their drivers, and if this happens in the future, Toyota might be dropping in driver strength. Next, racefans.net ended up having the big scoop this week, and that scoop was that Fernando Alonso would become a GM factory driver thanks to the Cadillac signing and the fact that Chevrolet would be powering his Indy car at the Indy 500. Now Fernando has an incredible amount of possibilities because he's talked a lot about moving along to other series and cherry-picking some of the bigger events. Thanks to this, we now know that thanks to this, we know that Chevrolet is an IndyCar, as mentioned before, and that means Fernando should be running the Indy 500 with the Chevrolet engine, and another race, which would probably be the Grand Prix of Indianapolis, so he can get a feel of everything that's happening in the world of IndyCar since the 2017 Indy 500, which he ran in. And because of GM's presence in motorsports, there's no doubt that he could land in a GMC, aka a Chevrolet, in NASCAR. And it seems more possible that he could land there now with his lap time in the seat swap. He probably won't do Daytona. He needs some super speedway NASCAR experience, but he would probably go to either Watkins Glen or the Charlotte Roval. But there might be a conflict between Le Mans and Sonoma, but if he doesn't want to do that, he could also go to Australia. Holden is a GM brand, and if he wanted to do the Bathurst 1000, I'm sure Holden would give him a seat. And that would mean that Fernando would be the first driver ever to run the Rolex 24, the 12 Hours of Sebring, aka the Sebring 1000 miles, the Indy 500, the Bathurst 1000, and Le Mans, all in 1 year. Speaking of IndyCar, Jimmie Johnson is talking about going to IndyCar. Jimmie seems that once his Hendrick contract expires in 2020, he's not going to be in NASCAR, and it certainly seems like Hendrick is moving on to the newer generation, and that's why they've put Chad Knaus to William Byron's car. But for IndyCar, Jimmie doesn't want to do ovals, although he has offers on the table to do the Indy 500. His family, they do not want him to run the Indy 500. What he does want to do is IndyCar road courses. I hope he'll run the Grand Prix of Indianapolis, and finally, Kasey Kahne gets seat swap fever. He wants Jimmie Johnson and Chase Elliott in sprint cars. Chase Elliott almost immediately responded, "Let's get serious about this." So it seems like Kasey Kahne has offered open-wheel testing to Chase Elliott and Jimmie Johnson. It all seems picture perfect, and I'm ready for some more seat swapping. But unfortunately, that's all for this week in racing. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. Signing off for now, I'm Matt from Matty Rocks Racing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.